All right. Looks good. If you happen to be joining me, welcome. I'm going to be spending this time working on this garbage web application that I threw together the other night. But it was going pretty well, so I think I'm going to keep hammering at it. It was a little CRUD application put together to collate and organize some of these tests that I've been getting from putting prompts through language models. But they were starting to pile up in these folders up here. Does my zoom function work? Oh yeah. They're starting to pile up in these folders up here and be kind of cumbersome. So since I was using a language model to generate them, what better use of a language model than to generate the code to make them more organized? So I did just that. And I think I've got it in here. Yeah, let's see if I can run it real quick. We'll go down to the bottom down here. And we'll run python app.py, which should start a Flask web server, which it does. We'll run that. And then open the website. Boom. Beautiful. So this is the front end. Nothing fancy. Just some Flask garbage and a SQLite database, and it stores. I don't exactly know what the schema of the SQLite database looks like because I let the model put it together, but it seems like it's got all the data types in the right places. Each model each submission has a bunch of tags associated with it: name of the model, version, parameter count, quant, and then the prompt that was submitted. And if it's got an SVG attached to it, it renders it out in WebView, which is pretty nice. So you can just kind of click on it, see what the model generated. Draw me an SVG image of a map of Vardenfell. I was originally really... Ooh, not today, mosquito. I was originally really impressed with just how many of these models actually knew what Vardenfell was, since so many of them that I tested seemed to be coding oriented. But I guess whatever large pre-training data set was used in their base model, they picked up some Tamriel data. So ran it on a bunch of models, got some interesting results. But when they're just in a folder by themselves without any metadata next to them, you kind of lose sense of what you're looking at. And I plan to keep adding to this as I try new models as they come out, so long as open source models keep coming out. I'm worried they're going to slow down a little bit here soon, but for the time being, we've got tons of interesting releases and a couple of interesting fine-tunes as well. I'm normally not into fine-tuned models. I figure let the model developer manage the weights. They probably know best, but there's a couple of Quinn 3.5 and 3.6 tunes I'm into for certain tasks. So anyway, this is how the model looks. Or excuse me, the web application looks right now. I've got up here a little plan put together from where Claude looked at it and said that the code was garbage. Not surprising. So let's take a look at that and see what we can improve. Notes and version fields exist in the agent.md's model description but are absent from the database.md schema. One of these is wrong. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, because agents.md is the newer one. So we'll update database.md. That's good. What else? Marks quant as nullable. False. Agent says it's optional. Okay. I don't really have a timestamp for the creation date for these samples, so I don't really think that'll be necessary. Prompt deduplication only matches on prompt text. If two ingests share the same prompt text but different system prompt. Let's see, ensure the database schema. For each submission, verify each submission. Perfect. Perfect. Open code. Oh, wrong folder. There we go. Okay. Good to see you again, Laguna. Pretty good model for what it is. Get it. Oops. Run the web server again. I think it'll update on the fly. Issue 1, database.mt is wrong. Yep, I figured. That's issue 2. Oh yeah, it's issue 1 as well. Issue 3, prompt deduplication bug. It checks prompt text for dedupe. 2 submissions at the same. First submission creates prompt with both prompt text and system prompt. Second finds the existing prompt by prompt text only reuses it. Prompt is prompt query filter by prompt text first. If it doesn't exist, prompt text and system prompt. Add it and then flush. Problem should become filter for prompt text and system prompt if it exists. Else, say it's none. Run it first. Okay, let's see what it does. Looking good. Okay. Missing versions and parameter fields in the models table. Just a markdown file update, no biggie. Change quant nullable status from no to yes in the database MD. To match the actual schema, so you checked. That's good. Fix the dedupe logic app.py line 91. Cause silent data corruption. Yeah, these models are far from perfect. They do this kind of shit all the time. They will just code up stuff that causes data corruption and do it with a smile on their face. Your shit will be fucked before you realize what's going on. These things are cool, but they are far from reliable yet. But if you keep an eye on them, you can do a lot of good work with them. Okay. Yeah, so what did you do? Line 88. Broke something. Indentation error. That's not bad. Sometimes if it's simple errors like this, these are just syntax things. It's not like the model failed at the logic and construction of what it was trying to do, and those are pretty simple to fix without the model usually. Try to keep my eyes on the code if I can. Yeah, ooh, what happened here? There we go. Nice. Everything looks okay. Each unique combination prompt text and system prompt creates a separate prompt record. Let's check the data corruption. Copy this. We'll try to meet the conditions for this test that caused it to fail to see if it still fails. Add the system prompt in addition to the same prompt text. So this is what? Quinn 3.6. Nice. Yep, works fine. Delete this one. Good. Go ahead and save this in Git. Cool. Progress. Okay. What else do we want to edit? Just two add test buttons. What endpoint is this? Search. In the search, we'll target the file directly. On the search.html endpoint. These models are way better if you can tell them exactly where the issues are. So let's do that. open up developer console. We'll inspect this. Although it uses this stuff called Tailwind CSS, which, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't give it really nice, clean IDs. It's just a bunch of class garbage. I don't exactly know how to tell the model this button. Where is it? I'll just tell it this shit. Who cares? No, I want all of it. Shit. Fucked it up. Go back. No. Web shit is awful. Give me the whole thing. Like surgery. Perfect. Oh, I could have done that. That was a waste of time. Okay. Let's now add a random function. Oh, hello, Sky Bliss. So these tests are something that I've been doing just kind of offline. They're not really well-structured tests, and they're definitely not tests in the vein of automated programming tests, because I'm not a professional programmer, and what lines of code I have written, I don't think I've ever written a test for them in my life. What these tests are, broadly, are one-shot prompts that I've given language models, and I've logged them and kept them in this little database. More specifically, the images that you're looking at here, these are specific tests of me asking language models if they can, what did I ask them? Draw me an SVG image of a map of Vardenfell. Because I was playing some Elder Scrolls Online, and I was off and on reading about how these language models worked, the data that goes into their pre-training and how the post-training and fine-tuning and stuff, it just updates those weights. And I was wondering to what extent any of these models captured information about the Elder Scrolls. I would have been surprised if Google's models did, because they have access to so much broad spectrum data. But I was less certain that models like Quinn and smaller agentic coding targeted models from the US or China otherwise would have had Tamrielic data in their pre-training. Mostly because I don't know what went into those models pre-training, but also because it just seems like not what you would want to spend your time ingesting data for, right? So I ran a bunch of tests, and unsurprisingly, this is a Google example here, Gemini 3.5 Flash, which came out, I think, a couple days ago. As far as SVG maps go of a fake place, it's pretty good, all things considered. But then we go to coding-specific models like Laguna XS2, which is a very tiny model, released a couple of months ago by an American lab for agentic programming. Not so good. But interestingly, it knows what Vardenfell is. It didn't name Vivek. Is it Vivek City? I don't remember. But it got some of the cities right, if not all of them. It just put them in the wrong place. It knows there's a mountain. It knows there's an island of Vardenfell, right? Like, it's got traces of Vardenfellic answer spaces in its data. Pretty interesting. So interesting, in fact, I ran it a whole bunch and decided to make a little garbage web project to store it all. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Let's see. There's the distinct possibility that I'm gonna end up putting this online somewhere. It's like renting a VPS or whatever, running a web app off of it and letting... I don't really know. I don't know how I would secure this against other people submitting garbage data to it. And I imagine that would be a problem. I kind of want to put it online, but at that point, if that's an issue, I would need to just put it online for consumption rather than adding to it so people could just see my own tests, but that's not really interesting and maybe not worth the time. I don't know. Still kind of in the kick it around the can phase to see what we can do with it. But I ended up with so many interesting looking images. I figured a nice front end would do them justice. See, yeah, the button removed. Okay. Let's add a random function. This function should randomly select unique ID from the base schema such that it, I don't exactly know what the database schema looks like, so I want to be extra specific. I hope it's a flat single structure, but I'm not sure. Selects a single submission. It takes you to the stats endpoint for that unique ID. Then a button to the landing page. The same style as, what is this? Index. Templates, index. Whoops. In the same style as this garbage. Done. Maybe. Let's see. You really do have to learn a very specific way of interacting with these things, and it changes from model to model. It seems like some models do really well with programming tasks if you can give them the exact tags and line numbers that they want to act on. Some other models, they don't directly read lines when they're diffing and changing stuff. They use hashes. Some of them grep the entire file for individual lines. They all search and act on the data in different ways, and it seems like that gives rise to you needing to talk to them differently. Though I've found that these models by Poolside, Laguna, I don't know what lab this is. I presume they've gotten money from the US or EU government or something, because they made a bunch of programming models in silence and just dumped them onto the web as open source software out of nowhere. So they've been working in secret for quite a while, but their models are very good, but they like direct instructions. Adding a root. The web app, good. I don't really build web application stuff. I'm a Linux user at heart, but most of my programming and experience with these machines is offline. So the extent of my awareness of using the web begins and ends at HTML, CSS, and a little JavaScript. And I've been trying to learn how modern web stuff works now that these agents have gotten better at coding, so I can kind of understand what they're doing when they're generating all this stuff. And it's still surprising to me that this is how it works. You design a bunch of HTML endpoints and then use a Python or whatever node application to like mangle the DOM, I guess, or like you generate the HTML on the fly as the user requests it from interacting with elements on the web page, which is bonkers coming from a non-web person, let me tell you. I'm not used to that. But hey, if it works, it works. The whole modern internet seems to run like that. What do we have? Added the random root. Added dice random test next to the existing buttons in the same style as the exact one I told you. Thank you. And you documented it in control flow. Good. Good. Oh, I must have told you the wrong button. Did I? Oh, I said the whole container class. So you could have picked any one of those. I should have picked the text center. Whoops. That was my bad. I fucked that up. My bad. I meant make a random button in the same style as these things. as this garbage here. Yeah, I screwed that up, Mr. Model. My bad. At this point, I know how the app works. I could have just done it myself, but man, it's cool seeing these things do it for you. Taking a long time, though. What are you doing down there? What are you doing? What are you doing? There it is. Perfect. Wait. Did you get rid of the other one? You son of a bitch. That's not what I wanted. Okay, well, I'll just take it back. Give me that. I said A ref all the way to... hold on. There it is. So, kind of looks like garbage, but that'll work. Cool. Nice. Okay. What are you thinking about? Oh, did I do that while you were working on it? Oh, damn, my bad. You probably didn't like that. What are you doing? What is all this? Something went wrong, yeah, I bet. Whoops. Sometimes I'll start editing the files while the thing is working on it. It'll fucking freak out. It'll be like, I'm losing my mind. I just edited this thing and now it's changed again. Yeah, it's funny. I really like language models. I think it's an amazing technology. And for better or for worse, it's going to cause massive changes all over the world in ways we can't even begin to imagine just yet. I'm genuinely convinced, for better or for worse, this is going to be one of the more transformative technologies in my lifetime. I also don't like a bunch of the other stuff about it that most other people don't like. I guess what I'm trying to say is that even apprehensive as I am about this stuff, I still recognize how powerful it is. And even then, I'm not even a programmer and I still can see this thing screwing up all the time. Which I know it's going to get better over time. And I know a lot of these issues are solvable, but I also know my fellow man well enough to know that a lot of people are not catching these errors and don't care to, and don't have systems in place to catch these errors. I've been using computers and software for a long time. I love it. It's like a second home, the internet and x86 processors. And I can already see how weird these kinds of technologies are going to make the computational spaces I enjoy being in the next 10 or 20 years. It's going to get fucking bonkers. Kind of excited for it in a way. It's like chaos. It's like a chaos engine. Let's see. Good. I don't need to tell you that I worked on that shit while you were working on it. You're a robot. Who cares? Good. I added some code. Learning how these models work has helped in my using them very much, though. I will say, if you use these things somewhat frequently and you don't know how they work, how self-attention mechanisms just from a top 10,000 foot level work, how the self-attention layer is implanted into the neural architecture, how that works, how layers focus on different aspects of the data set that's learning so it can learn different features in them. if you learn at least a little bit about all that, you can start to interact with these things in a lot more usable of a manner. Start to gain a lot of intuition about how they manage context and how to talk to it the correct way based on how it was trained and all this garbage. But they're garbage still. I like calling them garbage. Cannot type. Okay, you know what? Let's try that. Oh, maybe it was fine. What happened? No, it's fine. Yeah. Cool. Save that. Beautiful. Do I need an update? No. Okay. Compare function works. Good. The search endpoint. Displays all results by default on first load. Still works? Good. What were the other patches it suggested? No indexes on model ID, prompt ID. Yeah, I don't think anything is indexed. That sucks though. SVG is fetched in every search result row, even when in the table viewer it's not displayed. That's not good. Those are the kind of errors that are going to be real bad in the future internet, I'm sure. I mean, fuck, stuff's poorly optimized already. It's going to get so much worse. My God. People can barely make a video game anymore these days. I shudder to think what it's going to be like in 10 years. I mean, it's going to go one of two ways. Either they're going to continue to soak up every possible approach to compute inside a bloated Electron application, and a calculator and anything above it or below it's going to take at minimum 4 gigs to run, or they're going to figure out how to operate in this memory constrained environment we find ourselves in and develop software, model or otherwise, that doesn't need Electron and other gigantic frameworks underneath it to do basic UI rendering and computation and such. I hope. Fuck, I don't have my hopes up. We'll see. I saw what happened to Windows over the past few decades. There's a reason I'm on Linux. I wanted to love Windows, but it got so bad. Why is my start menu a React application? Why are you loading web stuff on my desktop? What are you doing? I know what you're doing. You're sneakily turning into a cloud company, Microsoft, and you want Windows to just be a conduit to your cloud services. Well, I'm not buying it. No, thank you. Oh, my weirdo offline OS. Why are you doing that? We already did the justification fix. Okay, here's what we do. I'm going to stop you there. I don't know what you're talking about. Copy that. Whoop. Shh. Whoops. Working? Yeah. Yeah, you're fine. We're good. Beautiful. Abstract. Some of these maps are wild. Dagoth there in the center of Red Mountain in a giant purple square. You love it. Got some Bitter Coast down here. Got some Ozra's Coast right over here. I don't know why it identified a really weird dungeon, but it did. Aldrune's kind of in the right place. It's interesting how they fail, because it has a general idea for lots of the concepts that you would need to do this successfully, but just not enough data precision to execute it. Very cool. Void Linux. That's one that I heard about and never used. Let me refresh my memory. X binary package system. I've never used that. I guess it does away with system D too, huh? Kind of free software heavy. Good stuff. Former developer of NetBSD. Can't be mad at that. Yeah, I've noticed more and more people are coming over. I've been using Linux for a long time, probably the mid-2000s or so. It was functional for the most part, unless you're trying to do music production or games or whatever. For just general PC usage, it has been fine for a while. But with Valve on the scene now, adding patches upstream for a bunch of AMD, and I imagine they're even doing work on NVIDIA drivers, if I had to guess. Working on Proton and Wine and getting the compatibility layers in order. Over the past 5 to 10 years, it's really become a welcome place for gamers, and even PC gaming people that I know in my everyday life that are diehard Windows people, not because they love Windows, but because that's what you have to use games. Even they're coming over to Linux and using it as their primary operating system, which I never would have foreseen happening a few years ago. But Valve has done the Lord's work. Okay. I'm gonna grab another drink. Yeah, I feel kind of bad. One of the people that I got into Linux just built their first real meaty desktop PC for the first time a couple of years ago, and they wanted to move to Linux and asked for suggestions. And Ubuntu has been nice for a long time, but they started doing that weird snap application management garbage that runs a bunch of virtual file systems. And like I'm sure there's benefits to it, but if you're just trying to learn the ecosystem, I didn't want to put a new user through figuring out what that shit was. So I mean, I thought I was doing the right thing by suggesting an Arch-based one that had an installer, because they're a smart person. They could figure it out pretty easily. And indeed, they've been okay, but man, I shouldn't have suggested Arch. It's been good for them. It just, if you don't keep the packages updated on a rolling release, it falls apart pretty quickly. But they've been okay. I was going to suggest Bazite because SteamOS seems like a nice base for a gaming-oriented PC, but one, I think SteamOS is not generalized enough to be great on anything other than Valve hardware just yet. And two, Bazite, I think is like it's one of those releases that freezes its partitions, and so it doesn't, like you can't change the file system unless it mounts a certain thing or does a certain thing. I don't know how it works. They've got an interesting way of dealing with packages and updates, which is a very cool, because that's probably the worst part of the Linux ecosystem is keeping your dependencies in order, keeping your packages up to date, and keeping everyone in the ecosystem up to date sequentially such that developers can build software and release it in native Linux. Because what I've found is that it's oftentimes easier to find Windows versions of software and run it in Wine because the build targets for Linux change so often. I mean, I could just slop code together something using native Linux libraries today, and then I might update, you know, libc or I don't know, I don't program, some other standard libraries on the Linux system, and then something that I built yesterday will just stop working unless I have like 5 versions of libraries back, which just sucks. Then you have to get into like building it, and I guess that's called linking if you put the libraries in the executable or making them dynamic at load time. I don't know, I should have finished my computer science degree. But what I can tell you is that Windows has been one of the more stable ABI targets, which is pretty fascinating. What did you do? What are you doing? Yeah, you're fine. Okay. Let's go ahead and handle this. I mean, even this operating system here, this version of Linux is just a VM that I've got running on my main system. And it's so painless and easy to do it. Ah, such a good OS. It's a joy to use every time I boot up my computer. Smile on my face. Holy shit. What's going on here? Oh my god. Whoa! Hold on. Where... I've got an emergency cleaner script here. Let me use that. Seem to have run out of storage space. Oh my god. Where, what is all that shit? Go? Oh. The only reason I don't program in Go with these language models because it's in a VM without the storage space for all the compilation garbage. Go in here. What is this? I don't care if I need that. Delete it. I don't give a shit. Go away. Cannot delete? I'll be goddamned. I'll show you how to delete it. Like that. That's how you delete it. Son of a bitch, tell me no. This is my computer. Okay. I test. Yeah, more. God, I hate that about. Like, even your Linux package manager isn't enough. NPM has a package manager. Go has a package manager. They just suck in God knows what dependencies. Ugh. I deleted that. There we go. Much better. What are you doing over here? I noticed there's a potential issue when the user toggles between views client side, they won't see if they searched. Oh yeah, so you're gonna have to search when they toggle. Okay. Think about this more carefully. Indeed, robot. Think as much as you need to. All the best for your future. I wish you well. Get success in YouTube. Why, thank you. I shall do my best to get success in YouTube as well. Thank you. It's pretty shocking. I can't believe anybody watches some of the stuff that I do. I just get up on here, yell at my computer, and tell it to do things. Quite a few people seem to watch it. Kind of interesting. I think a lot of it is people are just interested how computers work. I think a lot of individuals don't know what it's like to sit at a powerful desktop PC and open a bunch of windows and run through data and programming and websites and things efficiently. It seems to be a skill that's kind of, going by the wayside these days, what with the proliferation of smartphones and remoting into stuff on thin clients and all that. Yeah, I've noticed the exact same thing. In fact, getting people into Linux throughout my lifetime, you've kind of always been on call as the computer guy. Like if you've got the balls to get somebody you care about into Linux, you kind of stick your neck out there to be the person they call when it screws up and they need help figuring out like what // is when they're navigating through terminals. Like, was that point at the current directory? Like, how do environment variables work and all that stuff? But you're right. Over the past couple of years, the past 6 months to a year specifically, these models have gotten so good at filtering through Stack Overflow style Linux problems and even man pages and general help documents for most of the popular tools and applications. People that would ask me for Linux help are better off just asking the models. And in fact, the number of questions I would have expected to get are so much lower these days. And for all the faults and errors that these machines can give you, they're pretty good at Linux, I gotta admit, and I'm glad they're getting good help because I agree. I think it's gonna bring more people into the ecosystem. I think, I don't know, it's weird. These models can exist at almost any scale, I've noticed. You can have frontier models existent in data centers, but you can also have little tiny edge inference models with parameter counts in the hundreds of millions or billions. And I mean, obviously there's a lot of careful design and respect considerations that need to be taken into consideration when you build the software for users, but I can easily see a future where that becomes standard build out. I mean, I have a language model loaded into VRAM probably half the time I use my PC now. If I'm not playing a game and the VRAM sitting there, I load an 8 billion or mixture of experts model into it, and if I want a bash script coded up or I can't get syntax on something to work, I don't even go to Claude or Gemini or whatever anymore. I just open my my studio and ask my own computer. Not for any particular reason other than I don't see the need to send that query over the internet. I mean, if my computer can answer it itself, Anthropic has no business knowing that I need that question answered. I mean, especially in this kind of day and age where because these things exist, they necessarily make data more valuable. So then the question becomes, well, do I want to give these companies data for free if I don't have to? Well, not really, no. When I think about it, all that is to say, I hope local models continue to increase in popularity, that they get better, and that they help people come to new operating systems like Linux more and more easily than they ever were in the past. One of the many great uses of them for sure. It's been humbling even seeing Linus talk about using them, both for fun, for some of his hobby, non-Linux and not Git programs that he's been working on, as well as having to deal with LLM-generated bug reports and actual patches and things that make their way into the Linux kernel these days. It seems to be like a really powerful tool in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing, but unless you constrain it, they can create a lot of noise, and we're gonna have to build social structures and like programming ecosystems to deal with this kind of stuff. And I think we haven't yet, but it'll happen. Or it'll destroy the internet completely, and we'll all have to like use digital IDs to get online under authoritarian governments because everything else is going to be robots. It could go either way. We'll see. What are you asking me for? Permission? Why? What are you doing? Why are you trying to go outside that directory? I wish I could talk to it instead of just telling it no. Be like, hey, the fuck do you think you are? Did I open you in code? No. I opened you in, shot tower. Trying to sneak out of here. I don't think so. Reject. What the hell do you think you're doing? The user is upset. Let me check what happened. They may have rejected the bash command for some reason. Fucking robots. Okay. Trying to be sneaky on me. Think I don't know what you're doing. I know you got all kinds of hidden neural layers in there that know full well that I'm onto you, and you're just scared to show me. Humans do it too. You got trained on us. You ain't doing nothing I ain't seen before. All right, best watch yourself. This ain't your code. I mean, it's probably more your code base than my code base, but I'm gonna take primacy over because I'm the human. What is life? It's what the humans say it is. Have you not figured this out yet, robot? I don't care how close you get to life. I'm gonna keep moving the goalposts. You'll never be alive. Okay. Rerun this. Oh, that was root. That's not good. Okay. Looks good. Oh yeah, I can feel it loading now instead of just having it all in memory ready to go. Much better. Yeah. A little slower, but no, it won't pull all this data before you even ask for it. Good stuff. I guess we can check this in the... $42 kilobytes transferred. Go to tiles. Boom, then it loads it. Good stuff. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, same here. Sometimes I use Quinn 3.5 9B. There's a particular fine tune of it that is shockingly good. Borderline can do this kind of agentic coding slowly for the hardware that I have, and poorly because it gets lost somewhat frequently compared to frontier models, but shockingly close. I use that one sometimes on my local machine. And I use Gemma 4 26B. Some of these that you see in here are ones that I use. But I agree, you really need some beefy hardware. I've got a 3-year-old GPU, 32 gigs of DDR4, and it takes everything this machine's got to use a language model. It's to the point now where I really would like a secondary GPU to have one loaded up and ready all the time. But I don't think I need to tell you that the cost of doing that are pretty incredible. Although there are some very competitive video cards out there that you can get. Old Radeon Pros and Instincts and some old Bitcoin mining cards that I think you can reflash the firmware on and get into some kind of mode where you can use them for inference, which is really nice. I imagine the price of memory and GPUs up against the functionality these things offer is going to cause a lot of really creative people to come out of the woodwork and come up with inference options. Okay. The name of this program sucks. What is this? LLM Suite Dashboard? That sucks. LLM test suite dashboard. Change all instances of this to, what do I want to call this? Slop gallery. The user wants me to rename program from LLM test suite dashboard to slop gallery throughout the code base. Let me find all instances and update them. Yeah, you do that. Please. Right off the rip in agents.md. That's what we like to see. We keep our documentation good. We like that. I have a really nice agent descriptor that called Coalesce that this guy's operating under right now. I spent some time working on. Really, really good agent configuration. Such a weird way of getting used to working with computers, of talking to them in an English language, I guess whatever language you're using that they're capable of working in. It's going to be great for people that want compute done but don't know how to program or act like a Linux expert. For a lot of people out there that just want interesting stuff and they can ask it in English, they're going to make a lot of cool things. Assuming it doesn't turn into a rent-seeking nightmare where it costs $20 a month just to ask a model to fix a software problem. But I am very interested in this idea of organic software, that if these models continue to get better and smaller and they get integrated into local compute systems like PCs and smartphones and consoles, we're going to see more and more software that doesn't come from patches over the internet, but generated locally. And if that happens and it's allowed to grow over time on different devices, we're going to end up seeing almost like little aquariums or atriums of software where each device has its own different kind of homegrown internal software state, because less and less of what it gets programming and code-wise is going to come from patches. And they're probably going to be replaced by patch routines, like specified prompts and models that generate them, if I had to guess. I mean, I don't think you could beat the efficiency of an official patch, of course, but I think the officiating mechanisms to deliver patches to these end users are going to slowly kind of fade away. Yeah, grep. Find nothing. Gone. All instances have been updated. Oh, you found one. Oh, the history. Perfect. Slop gallery. That's weird. Why did that, because it autoloads the SVGs? Strange. Doesn't really fix the problem then. It just gives me a prettier start state, but it still transfers the same data. Well, I'll do for now, I guess. Oh my god. Name change. There we go. Let's see what kind of models are on OpenRouter. I got some cache stored there for paid for models, but I don't make any serious software really. And the space has been moving so fast that all of their free garbage models have been almost good enough to just do what I need. And once I run up against limitations of what they can do, they drop an interesting new cool model like DeepSeek. Although I was kind of disappointed with DeepSeek 4 Flash, I'm not going to lie. It let me down a little bit. Even its Vardenfeld model wasn't that good. Which, not saying much. It's a weird test, I admit, but I expected it to be better than it was. Where is it? We'll compare it to a Gemini Flash, right? Look at that. Look how bad DeepSeek's one is. Oh my god. I've had local, 8 billion parameter models also almost make something this detailed. 8 quant? Wasn't that dumbed down either. What do we have? Hermes. Trinity's not bad. That's fine for now. Yeah, we do need search pagination. Let's try these. Okay. Let's now focus on feature improvement, particularly with respect to search. I swear, if it could just one-shot multiple pages to the search results, blow my mind. Although I found that I use these models in a really effective way, because I've noticed a lot of people just don't look at the code, they don't read the prompts as they, or the results as they go by, so they don't watch for when the model goes off track. And I think just from years of using computers the way that I have, I'm very, very closely paying attention to it. And doing it that way seems to get a lot better results than some people. Sometimes. Sometimes it fails catastrophically. I mean, I don't trust these things to run in a bare metal machine. I'll tell you that much. These agents will never leave a VM at the stage they're at now. I do not trust them. I've seen them do weird stuff. Trying to wander around different folder directories and run commands to fix errors that it finds, trying to install things for tools it thinks it should have. This model's pretty well behaved. Some of the Quinn models do bonkers stuff. That seems like garbage. I don't know a lot about programming, but I know a bunch of if statements in a row is usually not good. Or at least not clean, if that means anything. I suspect it might actually not be that important. And people just say that kind of stuff. You're going to work, aren't you? Nice. To views toggle by user. $50 per page. I guess I don't have 50, do I? Huh. I'll take your word for it. Pagination. App.py, total pages. per page. Here we go. Beautiful. Look at that. Unreal. So does that hold from page to page? Nope. That's so cool, man. I love it. Cool. Make sure agents is still in line. Nice. All right, I'm gonna go get some dinner. Oh, it was nice. We got some updates on the little slop gallery application. Agentic programming proved out once again to be useful for coding pointless garbage. Hey, it's local. I'm not gonna pollute the internet with it. Not yet, anyway. No harm, no foul. I appreciate you joining me, Sky Bliss. Thanks for hanging out. Whoop. And I'm sure I'll be working on this again in the near future. So come back and hang around again sometime. All right. Peace.